Oprah Winfrey after a performance of The Color Purple at the Bernard B. Jacobs Theater in New York City by Hilary Swift. The New York Times Redux. The case for an Oprah Winfrey presidency is nearly identical to the knock against her. She's a celebrity, not a lawmaker, a billionaire businessperson with no political experience, a champagnes-wielding member of the coastal elite. She is, in other words, the Democratic Donald Trump, if Donald Trump was smarter, self-made, more popular, and empathetic. Oprah, her renown has made the use of her surname unnecessary, is likely richer, too. So let's take the idea of her candidacy seriously, for a moment, rather than dismiss the prospect out of hand. Lord knows Hollywood and the Obama political establishment are on board. Stedman Graham, Oprah's longtime partner, has said she absolutely would do it if the American people want her to run. The American people have, in fact, said they do not. When Quinnipiac last polled the idea in March 2017, just over 1 in 5 respondents said Oprah should run in 2020, and 69% said she should not. Beloved though she may be, voters clearly have reservations about her experience and her politics. At the same time, the Democratic Party is in desperate need of a personality that can rival Trump. That same month, when public policy polling put Oprah in a matchup against Trump, she beat him 47 to 40%. Absent a concerted effort by the KGB, there's no reason why the 46th president couldn't be a black woman from rural Mississippi. If you look at the electoral map, Oprah's path to 270 electoral votes is surprisingly straightforward. Trump secured his electoral college victory with a little more than 75,000 votes in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. All things being equal, he has almost certainly lost support in all 3 states. And it shouldn't be difficult for Oprah to outperform Hillary Clinton, who lost rural areas in those states, and won counties with cities, by much worse margins than Barack Obama in 2012. In the cities in particular, Oprah could be expected to find much stronger support from African Americans and young people, who make up a larger share of the vote. Video 11 Things to know about Oprah Winfrey. To be clear, African Americans and young voters overwhelmingly supported Hillary and remain some of the most reliable Democratic voters, but if you're losing rural areas by larger margins, you need urban voters to turn out at record levels. These voters didn't vote for Trump, they merely stayed home, and while the reasons for their staying home may have been varied, they all amount to a lack of enthusiasm. To flip Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania into her column, Oprah would only need to reclaim half the 200,000 Obama voters who didn't vote for Clinton in 2016. Even if she only boosted African American turnout to Obama levels in the counties that contain Detroit, Milwaukee, and Cleveland, something Oprah could undoubtedly do, she would secure an electoral college victory. It's not just that Oprah is an African American woman. For decades, Oprah has cultivated an extraordinarily intimate relationship with an audience that captures the entire Obama coalition. That includes 2 key groups where Hillary wasn't as strong as she could have been: non-college educated white women and suburban white women. Put these voters together and Oprah can be competitive in every state Obama won in 2012. It's hard to overstate how she can access that group of voters, which we know is a winning combination. No other prospective 2020 candidate can make as clear a claim. Oprah does have liabilities as a media personality. In the wake of her electrifying Golden Globes speech, critics were quick to note Oprah's history of elevating pseudoscience and spiritual hucksters. There are few more prominent promoters of positive psychology, which promises that happy thoughts and visualization techniques can bring success and overcome disease. Still, it's hard to argue that anything Oprah has done on television is worse than anything Trump says on a near-daily basis. She'll enjoy all the benefits that Trump had before he entered office: no defined politics, an outsider appeal, ubiquitous name recognition, with few of the liabilities. Where Trump relied on inflammatory rants to break through traditional media channels, Oprah would use her superhuman ability to connect to avoid trudging around in the snow in Iowa and New Hampshire. Should be a natural retail politician, but could get by with a few well-placed diner appearances and big rallies. More moderate or independent voters, to say nothing of Bernie Sanders leftists, may be turned off by another television billionaire with no government experience. But in this tribal, political environment, it's difficult to see those objections mattering to more than a few Democrats in key electoral states in a general election against Trump. Oprah is perfectly suited to recapture the Obama coalition. The party's bench, as the Oprah 2020 mania proves, is historically weak. And once she stepped up, there would only be a few other candidates who could survive on the oxygen she would leave in the room. The single biggest asset to a candidate in politics is media coverage, and in that area, Oprah will tower above everyone else. Over time, people who object to another celebrity president will rationalize her leadership just as Republicans did with Trump. Whether that fact suggests a new low, or merely the logical conclusion of the nation's ongoing existential crisis will be the subject of a forthcoming speech by Vice President Tom Hanks. Full-screen photos. 14 White House scandals we loved and lost in 2017. The first truth-bending claim of the Trump administration came just a day after the inauguration, when Sean Spicer introduced himself to the world by claiming that Trump's inauguration had drawn the largest audience ever, despite several photos showing a rather sparse crowd. Within a month, Spicer, once a well-respected journeyman flack in DC media circles, had cemented his reputation as Trump's own Baghdad Bob. Photo left, by Lucas Jackson Poole. Getty Images. Right, by Jules Samadep. Getty Images. Less than 2 weeks after he was inaugurated, Trump bungled a major campaign promise when he signed an executive order restricting travelers from 7 Muslim-majority countries from entering the United States. The order sparked protests across the country and threw border control into chaos as it struggled to implement something. Federal courts immediately blocked the ban, declaring that it was an unconstitutional religious test meant to discriminate against Muslims, and pointed to Trump's own comments as proof. The ban continues to wind its way through federal court, continually hamstrung thanks to the way Trump and then-advisor Steve Bannon mangled its initial rollout. Photo by Stephanie Keith. Getty Images. Back when she was still known as Trump's maternal handler, the White House advisor drew scrutiny for kneeling on an Oval Office couch as casually as if she owned a place she does not. She told the press that she had done so to snap a photo of Trump and a group of visiting presidents of HBCUs, and that it seemed to be the best angle. Photo by Brendan Smilovsky at Getty Images. The lawsuit against Trump University was the perfect allegory for a Trump presidency. The real estate billionaire stood accused of taking tens of thousands of dollars from regular folks, promising that his financial know-how would make them wealthy overnight, and then leaving them with nothing. Back in March, Trump settled 3 separate lawsuits, 2 class action suits and a fraud case, against the university for $25 million. Photo by Bill O'Leary, Washington Post via Getty Images. Of course Melania Trump, former model and Upper East Side inhabitant, would think nothing of wearing stiletto heels while preparing to visit a hurricane disaster zone. But after the internet slammed her for her trendy fashion faux pas, a practice that goes back centuries, she emerged from Air Force One just hours later wearing a brand new pair of white sneakers and what appeared to be a men's button-up shirt. Photo by Alex Wong. Getty Images. North Korea's 3 generations of punishment law dictates that if a citizen commits a crime, they and their entire family will be sent to prison camps, and the next 2 generations of children will remain there. Somewhat similarly, Donald Trump declared that Steph Curry's refusal to attend a White House ceremony acknowledging the Golden State Warriors NBA championship meant that the entire team's invite was withdrawn. When NFL player Tom Brady's turn came for a White House invite, he sidestepped controversy by claiming an illness in the family. Photo by Maddie Meyer. Getty Images. Of all the Trump administration officials who habitually use taxpayer dollars to fund their private jet travel, Tom Price, the former Health and Human Services Secretary, was the only one let go because of it. Granted, his plain use was egregious compared to the other cabinet members being investigated, whereas Ryan Zinke, Steve Mnuchin, and Scott Pruitt racked up a few $1,000s in dubious flights to their homes. And to the occasional donor party, Price spent $400 on flights to places like Nashville where his son is, Philadelphia, which is less than a 2-hour train ride from D.C., and St. Simons, a private island in Georgia where he and his wife happen to own a $1 million property. Such graft somehow infuriated Trump, who told reporters that he was not happy with Price's plain profligacy. Photo by Jabin Botsford. The Washington Post via Getty Images.